I called the cops on my neighbor's party. I didn't know my own daughter was inside. Just let that sit for a second. A father called the police on a neighbor's party, and his teenage daughter was at that party, and she got caught in the police raid. And the father didn't know she was there. This is one of those posts where you can feel the regret and devastation through the text. The comments section is insane. Like, people are divided on whether this guy was right or wrong. Parents are saying he did the right thing. Teenagers are saying he's controlling. Nobody can agree. But when you read the full story, the context, the betrayal, the consequences, it gets so much more complicated. So let me read you through the entire Reddit post. Because this is the kind of story that makes you question everything about parenting, trust, and what you're willing to do to protect your kids. Here we go. Okay, so the post starts, I'm a single dad. My daughter is 17. We've had a pretty good relationship, or so I thought. But she's been acting increasingly secretive lately, hiding her phone, staying late after school, being vague about where she's going. You know, the typical teenage stuff. But something felt off. Last Friday I was home, and I noticed music coming from my neighbor's house. Not just music, loud bass, loud voices, what sounded like a full party. It was 10 p.m. on a Friday night. I went outside to investigate. The music was blaring. I could see people inside moving around. Young people, teenagers probably. And I immediately thought, where is my daughter? I checked her room. Empty. She had texted me earlier saying she was going to a friend's house to study. That was at 7 p.m. But if she was studying, why would there be a party happening 3 houses down from ours? So I made a decision that I thought was the right one at the time. I called the cops. Okay, so right here we have the setup. Dad is concerned about his daughter being secretive. He hears a party. He assumes she might be there. So he calls the cops. But let me keep reading what actually happened next. The cops showed up within 15 minutes. I directed them to the house. I told them there was a party with underage drinking happening. Within 20 minutes, it was chaos. The cops went in. There was yelling. I could see teenagers running out the back door. Some kids were trying to hide. There was an ambulance called because apparently one kid had too much to drink. And that's when I saw her, my daughter, coming out of the house in handcuffs, being put into a police car. I literally felt my chest cave in. She was at the party. She was underage drinking, and I had just called the cops on her. Okay, so this is the moment. This is the moment he realizes what he's done. Okay, so this is the moment. This is the moment he realizes what he's done. His decision has just destroyed his daughter's life in real time. Let me keep reading to understand what comes next. I immediately went to the police station. I was going to pick her up. I was going to explain that she's my daughter, that I made a mistake calling the cops, that I didn't realize she was there. But when I got to the police station, she refused to talk to me. Her eyes were just cold, like I was a stranger. They let me take her home because she's a minor and I'm her father. But in the car, she didn't say a word. Not a single word. When we got home, I tried to talk to her. I said, I didn't know you were at that party. I thought you were studying at a friend's house. She just looked at me and said, I know you didn't. That's the problem. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And she said, you didn't trust me enough to ask before you called the cops. You just called the cops on your own daughter. And I realized something in that moment. She wasn't upset that I found out she went to the party. She was upset that I had chosen to call the cops instead of talking to her first. So this is where the complexity starts. He called the cops without even asking her first, without confronting her, without giving her a chance to explain. He just immediately escalated to law enforcement, and she's rightfully angry about that. I tried to defend myself. I said, you lied to me. You said you were studying, and there was a party happening. What was I supposed to assume? She said, you were supposed to trust me. Or at least you were supposed to talk to me, not call the cops on my entire grade. And she was right. I had violated her trust in the worst way possible. And she had violated my trust by lying about where she was going. And now we're both sitting in this wreckage. The charges got dropped because of my intervention, because I explained to the police that I didn't realize she was there. But the damage was already done. She's barely talking to me now. She says the trust is broken. She says she doesn't know if she can forgive me. And honestly, I don't know if she should. And then he asked the question, am I the asshole? Okay, so the main post ends there. But then in the comments, he adds some important context. I want to explain why I'm being so hard on myself, and why I called the cops instead of just talking to her. The truth is, her mother and I are divorced, and her mother is not present. She sees my daughter once a month, if that. So I've been the only consistent parent in her life, and I've been probably too protective. Maybe controlling, if I'm being honest. Her mother never set any rules. She let my daughter do basically whatever. So I tried to be the responsible one. I set curfews. I set boundaries. I tried to be strict. But I think I pushed her away in the process. She started getting secretive because she felt suffocated by my rules. And instead of relaxing my grip, I tightened it. I started checking her phone. I started asking her a million questions. I started not trusting her. And I think she stopped trusting me back. So when she started lying about where she was going, I immediately assumed the worst. And when I heard the party, I didn't think, let me talk to my daughter. I thought, she's at that party and I need to catch her. And I called the cops instead of calling her. That's what I can't get over. He's basically saying I created the secrecy by being controlling. And then I punished her for the secrecy by calling the police on her. I made it worse. The comments have been brutal. People are saying I'm a controlling parent. People are saying I violated her rights. People are saying I should have just talked to her. But other people are saying I was right to be concerned. That teenage parties with underage drinking are dangerous. That I was protecting her. But the thing is, I wasn't protecting her. I was punishing her. And now she won't talk to me. And I don't know how to fix this. That's the update. That's where he is now. Okay, so now I want to break down why this story blew up on Reddit. And why people are so divided about whether this guy is an asshole. Because honestly, he kind of is. And also he's not. Let me explain. He's an asshole because, 1, he called the cops without talking to his daughter first. He didn't say, hey, I heard a party down the street, and I'm worried you might be there. Can we talk about this? He just immediately escalated to law enforcement. 2, he was violating her privacy and controlling her behavior. He's checking her phone, asking a million questions, not trusting her. That created the secrecy in the first place. 3, he used the police as a tool to catch his daughter, not to protect the neighborhood. If he was actually concerned about the party, he could have just called and said there was noise. He didn't need to add the part about underage drinking and teenagers. So yeah, he's controlling, and he made a huge mistake. But he's also not entirely an asshole because, 1, he was genuinely concerned about his daughter's safety. Teenage parties with underage drinking are dangerous. That's a legitimate concern. 2, his daughter was lying to him. She did go to a party and underage drink, so his suspicion wasn't baseless. 3, he immediately realized his mistake. He didn't double down. He didn't defend his actions. He recognized that he violated her trust. But here's the thing that really gets me about this story. He called the cops on his own daughter's graduation party, not knowingly, but he did it. And the consequence is that his daughter's graduation year is now marked by a police record, by the humiliation of being in handcuffs, by the shame of being arrested, and all because he didn't trust her enough to have a conversation first. That's the real tragedy here. And this is where I want to ask you something. Because this story raises a question that I think every parent with a teenager faces. How do you protect your kids without controlling them? How do you keep them safe without invading their privacy? How do you maintain authority without destroying trust? And I don't think there's an easy answer. Some of you are probably thinking, this dad was right. Underage drinking is dangerous. He should have called the cops. And some of you are probably thinking, this dad was wrong. He should have talked to his daughter first. But I think the real answer is somewhere in the middle. He should have been concerned, but he should have talked to her first. He should have said, I heard a party down the street. Are you there? Are you safe? Can we talk about this? Because maybe if he had done that, she would have confessed. Maybe they could have had a real conversation about boundaries and trust. But instead he called the cops. And now his daughter won't talk to him. And the saddest part is, he was right to be concerned. The party was dangerous. She was underage drinking. His parental instinct was correct, but his execution was catastrophic. So my question to you is, do you think he's the asshole? And if you have kids, how would you have handled this differently? Because I genuinely think this story doesn't have a villain. It just has 2 people who both made mistakes. A dad who was too controlling and didn't trust his daughter, and a daughter who lied to her dad because she didn't feel trusted. And now they're both paying the price for those mistakes. That's the real tragedy of this story. So that's the story. That's the Reddit post. And that's what I think about it. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, am I the asshole? Or is his daughter the asshole? Or is nobody the asshole and everybody just made human mistakes? And if you have a similar story where you had to choose between protecting your kid and trusting your kid, please share it, because I think this is something a lot of parents struggle with. Thanks for watching. If you liked this Reddit story, please hit like and subscribe for more stories like this. I'll see you in the next one.